Hello and welcome to this week's book review. In this episode, I'm going to be doing a review on Daddy by Loup Durand. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. This is a wartime thriller story surrounding the pursuit of Thomas von Gohl, a 11-year-old prodigy. Young Thomas holds the key to a vast fortune, and like in most wartime thriller stories, our protagonist is pursued by the Nazis. It is up to his brilliance and his close allies to stay one step ahead of the Gestapo. So here is my spoiler-free review. The story begins with a brief explanation of this hidden fortune. From there we learn about the key individuals involved in this fortune and those who desire it. One of the key individuals is Maria Weber, Thomas's mother. Another brilliantly intelligent character who is a Gestapo target when it is learned that she holds the codes required to access this vast fortune they seek. However, Maria is as elusive as she is intelligent, keeping out of their reach. However, Maria has a son she cares about, and that's when it becomes a lot more difficult to hide, especially since another great mind pursues them in Gregor Laemmle. I'm again sorry if I mispronounced that. An agent who enjoys an intellectual challenge and actively leads the pursuit throughout wartime Europe. From beginning to end, the suspense is high, and every character is kept on their toes. While there is a charm to this adventure, you are swiftly brought back to reality when you are reminded of the stakes. Every character is trying to gain an upper hand over their enemy, which escalates the story. Now let's talk about the characters, the first being Maria Weber, Thomas's mother and a mysterious figure. I've already said she is intelligent and elusive, but coupled with that are her beauty and startling grey eyes, which Thomas shares. Such a character shouldn't be too hard to find, yet she manages just that, always making sure to cover her tracks. Next we have Thomas. Thomas is the protagonist in this novel and one with a heavy burden on his small shoulders. Being only 11 years old, Thomas has to show great strength not only mentally, but in spirit as well. That is something Thomas fights often, especially if the lives of those he cares about on the line. Despite these problems, Thomas is practical-minded and emotionally human, making him a likable protagonist. Our main antagonist and pursuer, Gregor Laemmle, is a curious character, in the sense he is fueled by his curiosity. Gregor takes great pride in his intelligence, but not much else. Having a lifestyle that is more than frowned upon by the Nazis, and intelligence that gives him an incredible cynicism regarding the rest of the world, Gregor doesn't seem much to live for other than this welcome challenge of pursuing a pair of cunning individuals. All of these factors highlight Gregor's selfish desire, and coupled with his coldness towards others, it makes him a dangerous villain. And there are plenty of other characters to talk about, such as Javier, who is a bodyguard to Maria and of course her son Thomas. And then there is Quatermain, Thomas's father, who is also an influential figure and searching for his son, especially in such a dangerous situation and with the state of Europe at the time. Now these are characters who are of course very important to the story, and they do appear early on, but the effect they have in the story is only really there in the latter half of the novel. So without spoiling the novel, I'm just going to leave their descriptions at that. Now Durand's writing style is descriptive. He takes his time to set the scene, put forward thoughts on different characters, and explain concepts that are a bit more complicated. Yet this is a thriller, so he knows when to switch the styles to match the tone of the scene. When the story becomes a bit more intense, the writing style is a lot more fast-paced, lending urgency and dread to these moments, making them that much more impactful. One touch I admire in this story is when Thomas refers to his mother. Thomas loves his mother dearly to the point where he deifies her. As a result, her pronouns are written with a capital letter. It's a constant reminder of Maria's importance to Thomas. The novel does contain incredibly tense scenes and a handful of shocking ones. I would say that it is suitable for young adults and older, with a reading time of a week. I found the novel gripping from beginning to end. One of the aspects of the story that I really enjoyed is that it felt like the good guys and the bad guys were pretty evenly matched. In some situations, it was tough to decide who had the upper hand. I found all the characters fitting for this kind of story as well. What I was most surprised by was Thomas as a character. I tend to not like to read stories where the protagonist is so young because I find their personality or the role they play often very lacking. Everything is kind of handed to them. But Thomas as a character has an interesting personality, and of course his intelligence makes him a lot more viable in this situation. He isn't being looked after all the way through. But Thomas isn't so hardened that he feels much like an adult character. He definitely shows his age at some points. As for the world itself, I felt that Durand really did capture wartime Europe very well. The occupations and conflicts throughout Europe are explained where necessary, but more than anything there's a focus on these characters and their story, and the wartime setting kind of creates more of a backdrop to everything else. Death often occurs throughout this novel, which makes sense. It's a constant reminder of the stakes. So while there is that grand good versus evil aspect to the story present, the story is still very grounded with its characters. Everything feels like it's a lot more contained, and that it's not like the whole world is at stake, which I can really appreciate in a novel such as this. When you want to create a more intense thriller, you have to have a story that is a lot more grounded. The suspense will be a lot higher because the story is a lot more believable. If the whole world was at stake and the characters were more like action heroes, a lot of that suspense would be lost. So if you enjoy intelligent thrillers or stories that are set in World War II, then you'll enjoy Daddy by Loup Durand. So I do hope you enjoyed this review, and if you want to check out this novel for yourself, there is a link to it in the description below. If you have read this novel before, why not let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to recommend a future novel, you can also tell me in the comments. Thank you for listening, and as always, good day, good night, and happy reading.